everyone, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Builder of the Month. This month, we are proud to feature Ernest Majenge, the founder of the Wheelchair Doctor, a Black-owned South African company that specializes in the manufacturing, customization, and repair of mobility aids. While the company does incredible work across the board, its groundbreaking highlight is a wheelchair designed to help users navigate staircases, addressing a critical accessibility challenge. Ernest, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Let's just dive into your journey. I find it quite interesting, right, that someone who is well abled, right? I know that people with disabilities are referred to as differently abled people, came up with such a fantastic innovation. I think most of the time when people come up with innovations, it's something that they themselves struggle with, So just take me through your journey. Where did this all start?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right.
The journey started, it was at university. I was doing my final year. Then it was during an entrepreneurship where they were teaching us how do you take an idea from an idea stage until become a final successful product.
Okay.
So during that program, it wasn't a program, not where we attend lectures. So like first thing that they taught us, it's like they made us to do something, they call it a problem validation.
Okay.
Before you come up with an idea, you must identify a problem, understand the problem, then get to engage with the people that are facing that problem on a daily basis. So that's when I took a industry of disability.
Okay.
Then I went to Soweto, one of the special schools in Soweto that have like different special schools. So,
Yeah.
So like during that, when I was doing an interview for those people trying to understand their pain, that's when they started to mention one of their challenges that they're facing on a daily basis. It's accessibility, especially to the most important parts of the world. Yes.
Wow. So saying that this all started in first year where you had to identify your problem, right? I don't want to assume, but was this always a dream of yours? Like going into first year, what exactly were you studying and what were you studying towards? Is this something that came up in that moment to say, oops, okay, I'm seeing there's a problem, like you said, this is what I'm going to address for this current moment or season? Or has this always been a dream from childhood?
Oh, actually, it was not first year, it was my final year.
Okay.
So like I knew it like after a year after I was going to work, but I didn't want to work. I always have a passion for business, but I didn't know which industry should I pursue. Like during that, when they were engaging us, like how do you identify a problem? That's when I got it fascinating. Oh, it's like, oh, this is the way of innovation. I actually fell in love with an idea when I went to do the problem validation, when I was talking to the people, the caretakers, the people who are affected by these challenges, especially the wheelchair users. That's when I fell in love. I have never thought I would take the industry because it's an industry that I don't even know. But by the engagement, talking to them, that's when the passion came up.
Yeah. Sure, that's quite interesting. So before this, I just want to know, what exactly was your dream?
My dream. I was studying towards, besides me knowing that I love business, my second love was accounting. I was very good in accounting from high school, varsity. So like my aim, it's either I become an internal auditing or a chartered accountant. Yes, that was always enough.
And somehow this final year led you to the most incredible innovation, that is recognized both locally and internationally.
Yes.
Sure, that's quite interesting. So your company does cover quite a wide range of services from manufacturing to customization. But I think the wheelchair, that can go upstairs, that is definitely what we are here for, the interesting one, Can you just take us back to that time where this was all innovated and the time where this all started?
Okay. After doing the problem validation, then I did something they call it solution validation, whereby the same people that I I went to when trying to find a problem, then I was asking them how can they solve their own problem if they were in a good position. So like it was a range of problems. So like one of the problem, it was like accessibility of the wheelchair a repair service, the long turnaround time of the wheelchair repair service. As I've mentioned, the other one was accessibility, because the course, it was, we were attending at Vets University. Just where we were attending, it was a center of disability people. There were one time, as you know, load shedding, it was one of the biggest problem. And then there were people that were working there. And then it was this other day there was a load shedding. And then the wheelchair user, there was a lot of wheelchair users that were working there. Then they were struggling to get one of the employees to the second floor of the center where he was working. So they were using a escalate. Is it what's that? Evacuation chair.
Okay.
So that's when I was like, it's a problem. But then when I did the problem validation, they have mentioned it like, if we want to go to a home affairs, it's very difficult for us, even if it's only like 2 states, it's very difficult for them to get access to the services. So that's when I saw like I needed to do something. After problem validation, then I did some research, also like checking how this problem that I'm trying to solve have been solved back in the days,
Okay.
1990s, 80s. Then I check in the future, how is the same problem being solved in China, in different countries. So, but I found out like there are solutions, but I must tailor a solution for South African, taking into consideration the economy that you are living in, like the affordability, because it's useless to come up with something then people they cannot be able to afford.
Yeah.
Then in China there were, I think Thailand, not China, Thailand, there were tools that they used to offload the load from the ship. So it have like a star, a wheel, when it's able to go like to rotate very nicely, going down and up the
Okay.
stairs. Then I took that concept of the wheel that is rotating. Then I also added up with the safety, taking into consideration. I did a lot of research, the safety of the wheelchair, like. And that's how I came up with the solution of the staircase
Sure.
wheelchair.
And can like time period, how long did that take you before you innovated that specific friendly wheelchair?
Actually, if you can check, it's not the wheelchair itself, because the wheelchair have been there for years, but it's only like certain tools that was
Okay.
installed into the wheelchair
Okay.
that didn't make it innovative. It actually, from a concept, when they gave us a task of a problem validation, it took about 2 years for me to finish up everything, but with the help of other aspects, because I was also doing the consultation a lot. Yes.
So I know you mentioned that in the process you did a whole lot of research.
Yes.
I'm quite interested to know that from you tracking back and retrospecting to the past, was there anything like this that came up, any solution to this problem that you saw? Was there any articles, newspapers, or any research that specifies or states that this kind of problem was once tried to be solved, however failed at some point?
Yeah, actually there were, because some of the product, they only patent, but they never come to an existence. Like people, they just draw it up. But something similar to this. But most of the solutions that I've got from when I was doing the research, it's a power wheelchair, like electronic, whereby which it's very expensive for African market. Yes, so like there were a lot of different things, but the problem, it was the power, then it was not suitable for an African market. Yes.
Okay. All right. So considering that the staircase friendly wheelchair is actually groundbreaking, right? What was the process like from the concept to prototype?
Okay. The process, the first one, it's like I've mentioned, like
Yeah.
the problem validation.
Yeah.
They did mention, yeah, it's very difficult for us going up and down the stairs. yeah, we have a problem of a load shedding. See,
Yeah.
that was the first,
Yeah.
the fundamental principles. Then I needed to find out how can I solve this problem. Then checking all the solutions that are there already. Then checking like why are we not having the solution yet. Then I did
Research.
a research, a lot
Yeah.
of research.
Yeah.
Then consultation to the engineer, to the people that are affected by the same problem. Then I did a lot of research,
Yeah.
consulting.
Yeah.
Then there was school that I was working with already. By the time I was doing problem validation,
Okay.
I went to those schools. I take they have like an old wheelchair, then that they're not using it, and then I would take those wheelchair, then take it and try to experiment, then shape it the way I want to shape. Then that was the most important part, like taking the scrap wheelchair and then trying to experiment different until it was I had a concept, because like the wheel itself, it was not the first concept. Then I've changed maybe 10, 20 times, then
Sure.
trying to get like the right product. There's a very lengthy product. So then until I was able to come up with to find out how do they solving a problem in Thailand with the star wheelchairs.
Yeah,
Then that's
yeah.
when the concept came about. Then
Okay.
after drawing it down, then I went to consult, because we had a privilege to consult one of the engineer at Vets University,
Okay.
because we're in that program. Then we would consult, then they would advise. Then that's how it took
Sure.
me so long. It was a
Sure.
very long
Yeah,
journey.
I think anything that is bringing great impact does take long. If you
Yes.
want to build anything tangible,
Yeah.
it kind of takes long in its early phases of
Yes.
development, if I should put it that way. So I know that building something, like I said, tangible, something impactful, it's definitely not easy. It
Yeah.
does take long, like you just said. What are some of the toughest challenges you faced during the process of the concept to the prototype?
The biggest challenge, as you know, I think it was the funding to do the prototype.
Yeah.
Because now you have a concept.
Yeah.
So you need people to build it, and you know that in the health industry, the manufacturing of any medical equipment, it's very difficult. It's like a car. You need to take the safety into consideration. There's a lot of safety that is happening. Finding a person who will believe in your concepts,
Yeah.
like, because it's a lot of money just building a prototype itself. It was a difficult challenge for me. Yeah.
Did you think this is something you were going to see through, or did you get discouraged along the way, or did you just have that passion and that motivation to just be like, this needs to work out?
To be honest, you go through all the emotions.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I did. At some point, I wanted to quit, because like it seems like no one was believing in this concept. So yeah, there were points like
Yeah.
I might as well just go and look for work. It was very tough, but with the support of the program that we're in, then that's when because like what we used to do, they used to take us from our different investors, so you can pitch your idea.
Oh, yeah.
They would like my idea, but they never invested. So that's when I was like hoping, when I see they like the idea, I was just like, yeah,
It sparks that
there's
hope.
still a hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So you have that warehouse, right? The progress, the progress you have made thus far is incredible.
Yes.
What does that growth mean to you, from having all those emotions, the disappointment, going through the process of building those prototypes to actually having your warehouse? What does that growth mean for you?
Yeah, it means a lot. Especially it means it's possible when you put your mind and you push through the pain. So like, yeah, because there was a pain, then I didn't give up.
Yeah.
Then I was just focusing on the bigger picture. So it means it's possible. It's
Sure.
possible.
Right.
possible.
I like that. I like that. So I'm assuming that, well, I know that your work has impacted quite a number of people.
Yeah.
Could you maybe share a story of someone that was greatly impacted by this specific innovation?
The innovation, yeah. It's actually the staircase one. It's actually in France.
Okay.
Then yeah, after developing the product, we wanted to test the product. Then we tried to actually, like, the investor that I've got, it was an investor from France that
Okay.
we how did we got, like, through the network. I think I was attending one of the network business seminars. Then that's when we met. Then we wanted to test the product. Then he was able to fund us, like, give us money to do everything. And then he was like, no, this challenge is not only in South Africa, because I've never went any outside any another country besides South Africa. It's like, this challenge is also facing in France.
Yeah.
Can you give us the concept, and then we'll take your wheelchair, then give it to high schools. It's high schools. They took the same wheelchair. Then they took it to one of the high schools in France, Paris. Then he was showing me, like, a pictures of, like, what I'm solving here is really happening, because they were using it in France, like, going up down the stairs.
Yeah.
But then they got back to me with the feedbacks, like,
Sure.
you need to change here, and here
Yeah.
is too heavy. Yeah, like, seeing it solving
Yeah.
a problem for another country. That's when I was like, wow,
Sure.
this is
That's
a life change.
amazing.
Yeah,
That is
yes,
amazing. All the way
yes,
in France.
yes.
I can just imagine like the emotions and the joy that you're feeling at that moment.
Yes.
And let's specifically in South Africa.
In South Africa, what is happening? We did like testing, but it was actually, we did a testing in Sunnyside in Pretoria, but they only use it like they only use it like 2 times. And they
Okay.
told us, like, this thing is heavy, you need to change what. But we
Okay.
didn't take it as a failure. We take it as a positive
Feedback.
feedback that we
Yeah.
need to work on. So, like, ever since then, we haven't been focused on South African market,
Okay.
because it was too hard for them to afford, because the innovation itself, it's very expensive
Okay.
for an African market.
Okay.
But outside the country, even in Dubai,
Okay.
there were a lot. We went for exhibition, Jitex, Dubai. Then we went for exhibition. There were a lot of investors, like, they wanted to invest, but the problem was they wanted to manufacture this product in their countries.
Okay.
But yeah, we're still on a process of
Negotiating that.
negotiating. Yeah.
Okay. So I see the common, I guess, the common feedback that you are receiving with regards to the wheelchairs, that it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Is that something that you can change, or because of how it is structured, it's bound to be heavy?
Yeah, it's something that can be changed, because, like, the materials that we used, we wanted the safety taken into consideration.
Yeah.
Because if you use another a material which is carbon fiber, it's going to be more expensive. Then the
Okay.
product is expensive. I was looking, like, there's not gonna be any customers if the product is too
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah.
But it's something that we are working on it now.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we're working
Just
on
to retrospect, I think you'd mentioned that through the process of you doing research, right? You found that a whole lot of research studies on the specific problems were electronic in a way, right? As we're moving into the space of AI, and stuff, how do you see AI impacting this your business, in the wheelchair industry?
Actually, it's a good question. That was a question that they asked me in Dubai.
Yeah.
In order for us, I think, as a South Africa, we need to solve the basics problem before we can integrate. From my own perspective,
Yeah,
you see,
yeah.
there are things that you can, like, integrate, like you can add on onto the wheelchair, like that will give you like indication if maybe a wheel is about to break. Then it give you indications like, hey, you need to change this. A wheelchair need a service, by the way.
Okay.
Like you need can give you like indicate in 2 days, please. It's something that there was a company that approaches, but I wanted to solve like the basic problem
Yeah.
before I can maybe think about AI.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So like, yeah, that was my approach.
Okay.
But a lot of people have asked me like, how will I need to up my game? Yes.
Okay, but I'm assuming because in South Africa, yes, there are different factors,
Yes.
you know, that kind of influence the decisions that you made. Like in the beginning, you spoke about the economy, you know, the state of living
Yeah.
for most of the differently abled people. You know, it's not so great. They won't
Yeah.
be able to afford
Yeah.
that specific wheelchair. But if you have to look outside of South Africa, like your France and your Dubai, how do you think AI would impact your businesses there while you're still trying to solve the problem in South Africa?
Wow. Wow. Cause like what happened, we tried to, besides the manual one, we tried the power one,
Okay.
which we still have, but the
So
only
what's the
different,
power and the manual?
the
What's the
manual,
difference?
someone helps you to pull.
Up.
Yes, when
Okay.
ascending and descending like
Okay.
an esters.
Okay.
But the power one, it operates itself.
So that person doesn't need anyone
Doesn't
to
need anyone.
assist.
Yes.
Okay.
But the component and the cost price to and the machines to manufacture that, it's like buying a car.
Sure.
You see, we do have that part because like the only thing you only install like your battery, your motor into a wheelchair.
Okay.
But yeah, like it was also another thing that we didn't want the power wheelchair. If you can check ne, I don't know if you try. I thought maybe it's in only Africa.
Okay.
If you go to a hotel or any building, there's a escalator.
Yes.
Then is it that escalator a power wheelchair? No, it's a manual. Why? Because like in terms where when the building is on fire, then there's no power. It's the power is not working. You're not allowed to use elevator. You're not allowed to use. You need something that is manual.
Yeah.
So a Ruby wheelchair, it's also solving the same problem.
Okay.
There's an act that require every building. Maybe in this building there's also a evacuation chair. Each and every
Yeah.
building must have an evacuation chair.
Yeah.
So like we are replacing that evacuation chair with this manual wheelchair. But maybe in the long run, when we have dominated this space of the manual, that's when we can consider the AI and
Yeah.
other power
Yeah.
wheelchairs. Yeah.
Okay, interesting, interesting. I know that the wheelchair doctor has definitely gained recognition locally and internationally, as you have shared. You know, how do you ensure that your work continues to reflect the South African pride?
Okay. Every year we visit our business model.
Okay.
We do the same thing that we did when we started the company, trying to find the problems from the consumer themselves. We go get the feedback from them, find out if there are challenges, the new challenges that are challenging them. Then that's how every year visiting the business model, trying to find problems that we were not notice at first or something else, like revisiting the business model.
Okay, just an interesting question, right? I know you spoke a lot about accessibility being a challenge for majority of people that are using wheelchairs because the buildings are not so user-friendly. You know, what do you think people that build could do better to actually be more inclusive to the people that are differently abled, either on wheelchairs or, yeah?
Recently, there's an act, I think 2000 Act, Building Act. I think now they're taking them into consideration because like now, if your business does not comply with that act of if like you are building a building, you must consider the wheelchair user, people who are unable to move on there. So,
Yeah.
but I think the that act and the compliance, it's moving them into the right direction. So far, so good. I think they're complying
Yeah.
with everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a fun fact I just wanted to know. So with accessibility obviously still being a challenge for many, and I think you also mentioned, like you said, that the affordability as well for wheelchairs, specifically in rural areas. What are your hopes, for mobility in South Africa?
Yeah. My aim, because I've traveled, see how other countries operate, is to see everyone without everyone with a wheelchair user, someone who's everyone who's disabled, they have at least one wheelchair.
Yeah.
Because like what I've noticed is like a lot of South African, especially rural areas, Eastern Cape, Limpopo, you'll find out someone is disabled, but he doesn't even or she doesn't even have a one wheelchair. So like the aim is to make a wheelchair to be accessible to everyone who's disabled.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And how do you hope to achieve that?
How am I hoping to achieve? I was expecting that. There's something that I'm doing, but I was doing it also like a foundation. It was the recycle of the wheelchair. If you see, like the wheelchair itself, it's very strong. The structure. There are few parts that you need to change in order for it to be refurbished, to be in a good condition again.
Okay.
So like what they do, they take all this. Well, now I'm giving you my idea.
Oh, no, you don't have to give it all.
So what they do is like they after a wheelchair they see like the tire is finished, they throw them away.
Okay.
There's a lot of those wheelchair that is broken. They think it's broken, but the structure is still there. So like if I'm doing it already,
Okay.
I refurbish them,
Okay.
then sell it and rent it out to those people who can't like afford the brand new wheelchairs.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
you know, like a wheelchair it's very expensive. For in case like they're able to pay like 200 per month, then use the wheelchair. If they come across any challenges, they bring it
Sure.
back to me. So like yeah, we have a lot of wheelchair that's just sitting there and then it's broken, but we can do something with it.
Sure. So is affordability that much of a challenge that someone would have to rent out a wheelchair?
It's-
Like installment?
In South Africa, it's bad. You're
Sure.
talking about installment. These people, on a waiting list. There's a waiting list for each and every district hospital in South Africa.
Sure.
Someone they wait for a wheelchair for 6 years. They're just waiting for a wheelchair. See, so it's bad.
That's bad.
It's bad.
Have you well, in your journey came across or maybe worked hand in hand with, I know social development does assist with such cases. Have you maybe worked with them?
I've tried to approach them, but yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah, I've tried but and then I was trying to do my own things without going through a lot of
Yeah,
go there, go there. I'm
understandable.
doing my own things. I'm also donating, by the way. I'm also donating each and every year. I donate like 5 wheelchairs. Like I do a lot of there's something I also have, like it's called a wheelchair makeover.
Okay.
Whereby we choose an old age home. Last time we were in Alexandra. It's an old age home. It's about 100 old people that are using wheelchairs. Then we went there. Then for the whole day, we washed their wheelchair. Then we repaired them with
Okay.
our own parts, the brand new parts. Then after you see the wheelchair, it's like the brand new wheelchair. Just after changing certain parts of the wheelchairs.
Sure. I know that there is going to be someone looking at this, right? And they're like, I can rent a wheelchair. What process do they have to go through to rent a wheelchair? How long do they have the wheelchair on them? Can they buy the wheelchair at some specific point? Is it like a monthly installment for a car where I pay every month and then the wheelchair is going to belong to me after some point? Like, what is the process?
the renting part, it's a business model that I'm trying to implement, because like while I was working with these people, then I was seeing the challenges. The main challenges, it's the affordability. Like these people, they rely on the grant. Then how much
Yeah.
is the grant? If someone is getting like 2,000, 1,000, 1,500 a grant, then how will they afford a wheelchair of 5,000 rand?
Yeah.
So in that way, if they rent every month, they know we're taking only 200 from their money.
Okay.
It's like it's nothing. Then they
Yeah.
don't have to worry about, because the wheelchair, it's very important.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very important part of their life. So they're not gonna feel that, especially when you need to repair it. You don't have to feel it. Repairing can go up to 1,200, 2,000. So like if only taking 200 rand every month, so it's not one, you don't want to feel it, even if
Sure.
you're getting a grant.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Big ups to you.
Thank you.
Quite impressive.
Thank you.
So do you only specialize in wheelchairs? Or are there other prototypes that you are working on for specifically people that are struggling with, or people that are differently abled?
Yeah, at the moment we have something, it's a wheelchair, they call it an off-road wheelchair, specially designed for people staying in rural areas. As you know, a standard wheelchair cannot last longer when it's at the rural areas, because the gravel roads, it's very bad. So they're
Yeah.
affecting their movement, their mobility. So we have also like the walkers.
Okay.
Yeah, for our grannies. Yeah, we also have, we are in a way of manufacturing the crutches. Yeah, but our main focus is the wheelchair. Anything to do with the wheelchair, customizing the wheelchair according to your needs. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just I'm quite interested. So wheelchairs, I'm assuming, do they come in different sizes?
Yeah, we know like disability is different
Yeah.
from one person to another,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like what is currently happening is like most of the it's one company that, besides the other companies that is buying wheelchairs from outside the country. So like it's one all what do they call it? One all fit all, something like that.
Okay.
It's same type of the wheelchair, kind of a wheelchair. Then they sell it to anyone. So like the disability differs. Someone have a stroke on the right hand side or left hand side. You need to design a wheelchair according to that person disability.
Yeah.
So which is not happening currently
Oh.
in South Africa. So
Okay.
it's the approach that we are taking. Then someone it's maybe they started like as slender, they're very thin. Then 2 years time the wheelchair is still new, but the person have gained weight.
Yeah,
So like the
yeah.
wheelchair is too small. Then we need to adjust that wheelchair.
Okay.
It's another a business model that we also are targeting.
Okay.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
A lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Like I'm blown away. But this is such an incredible innovation.
Thank you.
Just as we wrap up, if someone would like to invest, get a hold of you, fund, your prototype, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can check me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Ernest Majenge.
Okay.
On Instagram, Ernest Majenge. On Facebook, all social medias, Ernest Majenge. Or they can check the website. There's a wheelchair, www.wheelchairdoctor.co.za. Or maybe they can give me a call or WhatsApp on 081 075 5316. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ernest. This is really motivating. I think just hearing you speak about where it all started with just identifying a problem, now you are impacting so many people, and you are going to impact more people, Thank you so much for the work that you were doing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ernest, for sharing your incredible journey and vision with us. The Wheelchair Doctor is a shining example of South African innovation at its best. interest. To our audience, let's continue to support local businesses that are transforming lives and making South Africa proud. Until next time, let's keep building South Africa together, one idea at a time. I'm your host, Kiorapetse Molefe. Thank you.